sort of regulator that the mandate requires that must be addressed. So one is to implement the act, the PIA. Two is to create value, sustainable value. Three is to have the right people, because without the right people, then we haven't even started. And of course, to organize ourselves in a way that that value that we're creating is sustainable, and we are rest assured that we will be able to implement the PIA. It's not moving. Oh, okay. It's not moving here. So the strategy that we articulated together collaboratively really looked at how we bridge the mandate that we have been given as NUPRC to the activities that we will then perform as NUPRC, and bringing it together in making sure that we are organized in a way that individually and collectively we know that we are acting to deliver on our mandate. And as I go down, you will see the different parts of the strategy, which looks like a house, over the next 10 years. So of course, the first thing that we start with is flowing from our mandate. Why, in our opinion as NUPRC, do we exist? Why were we set up? Which we call the mission. I can't even. Ah, okay. Mission. Oh, voila. Is there a way we can do it so that? I want the next slide. So the reason why NUPRC, after much ado, we settled on, we are here to promote sustainable value creation from Nigeria's petroleum resources for shared prosperity. Promoting sustainable value creation from Nigeria's petroleum resources for shared prosperity. And we thought that the important terms there were sustainable value creation and shared prosperity. We then moved on to our vision and what our end state, ultimate end state, should be in order to be that trusted regulator. Yes. And we said very simply, our end state as NUPRC is to the end. At the end of all of this work, we want to be Africa's leading regulator. But what does that mean? How would we know that we are Africa's leading regulator? We also then identified certain indicators that we needed to next slide, that we needed to pay attention to. And for the purpose of this presentation, there are 6 of them with the indicators. So the health, safety, environment, and community. And we said in that area, we were looking at 0 fatalities and 0% flaring by 2030. Staff productivity, 90% average score in staff performance. investment attraction, an increase of 50% into the industry by 2024. Ease of doing business, be the reference standard and transparency. We're looking at 10% annual improvement in stakeholder perception survey. Okay. Now, as part of the strategy, we also recognize that we can have the best strategy, but if as individuals and as people, we do not work towards achieving that strategy, then we'll be wasting our time. It will never come to life. CCE said, this is a living document, so it's not cast in stone or cast in iron. It will take people to bring it to life. And so we identified certain behaviors that we think each staff of NUPRC needs to demonstrate. And CCE had touched on this. We said professionalism, responsiveness, ownership, and integrity. And it would interest you to know that during the retreat session, when we came up with this, we then coined the acronym PROI. And for us, apart from representing professionalism, responsiveness, ownership, and integrity, we also thought that it meant personal return on investment. So as individuals, every time you act as NUPRC staff, every time you act in NUPRC, what is the return to you as an individual? That value that we're creating for shared prosperity, we are part of that shared prosperity. So there's an incentive for us to act in a certain way, to be professional, to be responsive, to take ownership, and to demonstrate integrity. I won't go into the meaning because I think CCE had explained what all of that means. Now, in order to break down the mission and the vision, we said the next step was to look at what would form the backbone of this our strategy. In other words, what are those areas that we consider critical for us to succeed at in order to achieve our end states, Africa's leading regulator, and ultimately deliver on the mandate. We identified 4 of them. We call them pillars. And these strategic pillars include the regulatory stewardship, operational excellence, human capital optimization, transparency. And if you've been paying attention, you will see the connecting thread right from the beginning. From the mandate, what was critical to achieve, to our mission, to our vision, what will form our backbone. And that's the beauty of this strategy document. Every single part of it is connected to the other. So the regulatory stewardship really just means that we need to collaborate with stakeholders and optimize petroleum resources. And you'll hear more about that when we look at the regulatory strategy. Operational excellence means we optimize our processes, technology, our resources, and adopt an efficient operating model. So we organize ourselves in a way that we are efficient. Human capital optimization, achieve a performance-driven commission. So everything we do is for a reason. We're not just acting. Transparency, become accountable and predictable. So you're not only fair, but you're seen to be fair. The next step was then to ask ourselves, what are those things, what are those continuous activities that we need to do over the next 10 years in order to, again, deliver on our mandate? And we identified 12 of them, which we called objectives. And having agreed on them, we then put them into a map, which in essence really shows the journey of NUPRC over the next 10 years, the value creating journey of NUPRC. And if there's anything you take away from this map, there are 12 objectives. But if there's anything you take away, it is the fact that your success starts with your workforce. You get the workforce right, and you put yourself in position to succeed. You get the workforce wrong, it would be difficult to succeed. That's what this map is showing. And ultimately, you get to, if you succeed, you get to the point, number 12, where you optimize value creation. What else do I need to mention here? Okay, so maybe for persons who may not have caught on, part of the tools that we used in developing the strategy was the balanced scorecard. And why we used it or infused it was to be sure that we cover the entire organization. So we're not just focused on what the stakeholder thinks or focused on how much investment is coming in. We're looking at the entire organization. And that's how we landed on a strengthened workforce is the foundation to our success. So following that, we then defined the strategic initiatives, which I think in the documents that have been shared with you, they're more elaborate. I wanted to ask, how many initiatives do we have? Did we define? 90. So we have 90 initiatives, but we just, highlighted a few here. So these are not all of the initiatives. These are the ones that we thought, And we broke them into buckets by year. So we consider that the first 2 years you would spend fixing the basics and building that foundation. So whether it's your workforce or the resources you have, the assets you have, the office space that you have is important as well. The next 2 years, 2025 to 2026, you will then build credibility in the industry. So NUPRC will start to register in the industry as the regulator, right? Oh, this regulator, is ahead of the game. This regulator cannot be overlooked. This regulator needs to be consulted before we make a move. We need data on, upstream activities in Nigeria. Have you spoken with NUPRC? So you start to register, build credibility within the industry, and then beyond that, you then become that apex regulator. So that's how we have broken down the activities into 3 buckets. For the initiatives highlighted in bold, because as you know, we not only articulated a corporate strategy, we also looked at a regulatory strategy for NUPRC. And those highlighted in bold were some of the initiatives that we know feature in the regulatory strategy as well. Let's see. Okay. So on the regulatory strategy, which of course feeds off the corporate strategy, we identified that a clear strategy on regulation would further support the Commission in achieving its industry role and its mandate. But we also identified, how many are these? 5 key areas where regulation was definitely important and needed to be defined to enable increase in production. It's not moving. To enable increase in production, to meet assigned quotas, to promote reduction in security issues, to enable amicable relationship between operators and host communities, to reduce carbon emissions, and then to improve gas utilization and production. You see, even part of our fixing the basics, things like this need to be fixed. It's part of the basics. Lighton, do you want to talk about the three pillars of regulation? So.
Thank you very much, Mary. And thank you, Sisi. Appreciate it. Okay, so I think Dr. Kelza mentioned the pillars that we have for the regulatory strategy. And it's basically educate, empower, and enforce. Underpinning all three of them is continuous engagement. And if there's anything that we should let resonate with us today, it's the fact that our role as regulators would include educating the stakeholders, empowering them, especially now that we have a lot of indigenous players coming on board and they don't have as much experience as the established players. There's room for a lot of empowerment. And then it's a carrot and stick. It's always a carrot and stick. It's not all the time that you're just educating and empowering. There would be times that you need to wield the stick and enforce and be firm and consistent with the enforcement. And as far as the enforcement goes, one of the issues that were thrown up in the engagement that we had with in-house and external parties was the fact that there's need for consistency in enforcement. So if two people come to NUPRC, the outcome should be reasonably predictable. So what we're trying to do, or what we have designed, are matrices that would inform the minds of the decision makers that considering that this issue has XYZ characteristics, this is the bucket it should fall in, and these are the measures that should be taken. So for instance, if a matter is low risk and you have someone who consistently complies and all that, it's likely that education is probably what will be thrown in. Sometimes, and we have the matrices, if we can get to the slide, sometimes if it's medium risk, but again, reasonable cooperation, reasonable enforcement, and no history, it may be empowerment that's required. But a matter that's high risk, high rate of default, perhaps we have consistently told this player that this is likely going to be a problem, and the problem has then crystallized. We can't use educate, we can't use empower. We have to enforce in instances like that. So we have helped develop a matrix that the NUPRC will then flesh out by itself based on the facts available to you in ensuring that there's a consistent outcome and a defensible outcome too, because now people tend to make a lot of noise about, oh, this is our engagement and this is what has happened. But we want a situation where we can defend the outcome, that based on these matrices, this outcome was inevitable. So that's what we have designed largely around the regulatory strategy. I'm sure when we get, when the manuals are published, we will then have more details around it. Thank you.
So I think the final part of the corporate strategy was the operating model and how we organize ourselves, what we thought was important. And part of that operating model is, of course, our org structure, NUPRC structure, which I think CCE mentioned that you have developed one that enables the strategy development. So that's very good. Other parts of this operating model are where the money is coming from, what is constituting our key cost items, who are the major stakeholders that we need to engage in order to succeed. How do we engage them? Through what channels do we engage them? What are the key processes that we need to deliver or we need to be experts at in order to, of course, be that leading regulator? Who are our employees? What sort of skills should they have? And then who are our strategic partners, collaborators that we need to work with in order to achieve our mandates, deliver on our mandates? And finally, what sort of assets do we need? All of that is in the operating model that was defined. I really wanted this my last slide, but Anyway, the last slide says, thank you very much for listening to me. But it also says, individuals make the strategy work. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Awesome.
Thank you very much, our consultants from PwC.
Awesome.
Our partners.
No. Before I spoke, you kept calling Kola and Chuma. Kola and Chuma. No, my name is Mary.
Oh,
so thank you very much, Mary.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mary. I was working based on what's in the program. I'm very sorry about that. So, but in a very particular way, I'd like to say thank you for adding value and collaborating with NUPRC in developing this wonderful document. And going by your emphasis in your last slide, I was also going to say the same thing. It is human beings that bring brands alive. If I was thinking of NUPRC, I would have in my mindset, I would have Dr. Kell, I would have the Chief Executive Engineer Gbenga Komolafe. So if I've had a good experience doing business with NUPRC through my encounters with them, then I will think NUPRC. So it is human beings that bring brands alive. There is no human being that is called NUPRC, but the human beings in NUPRC bring the brands alive. So thank you very much, and one more round of applause for them. So we have come to that special moment in today's program, the unveiling of the Regulatory Strategic Handbook, which is going to be carried out by no other person than our Chief Executive, Engineer Gbenga Komolafe. He'll be doing that shortly. I was just going to ask very respectfully, CCE, sir, I was just wondering if you would want to call on your ECs to join you in doing that, if you would want them to accompany you in unveiling the handbook, sir. But it's your call, sir. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, our MC, Tony. Dear colleagues, and of course we understand that a tree, they say, does not make a forest. If that is so, the CC alone cannot build an organization. So it takes a collective effort to build a leading organization, a leading regulator in Africa. So if that is the case, I need the support, not only of the TMC, you understand, but every one of you here. Thank you. So collectively, we will unveil the strategy document together. Thank you. So, please join me.
So please, photographers, you need to position, take your best shots, please. When you're ready, I'll hand over the mic to the CC who will say something before we unveil it. Are you ready? Yes. The video people, are we ready? What do you need?
So, dear colleagues, today is indeed another critical milestone in the life of our organization in building NUPRC. So we have all collectively committed to a strategy document, which I shall, as the team lead, leading a pack of all committed ladies and gentlemen, all here present with me, unveil today. That is to the glory of God and the progress, the development of our organization. I hereby unveil the strategy document. Okay. Who else? Yes. Yeah. Okay. Once we try. Okay. One each for everybody. Okay. So please hold it. Yes. Okay. Symbolic. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Please. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations to us.
What's the next item? Ugochi. Thank you, Doctor. Oh, okay. So thank you. We have unveiled that document, and it is now alive. It's now a working document. It's dynamic and it is subject to change. Like the CC said in his speech, it is not cast in stone. So as the years go by, it will be tweaked to suit the realities of our situation. Thank you very much, sir, for that unveiling there. Thank you also to the board members here present. The next agenda on our program is the signing off of the strategy document for implementation. So at this point, we would want to do that, I think, in collaboration with the ECs. The signing off of the document, yes.
CC, sir, with your kind permission, just as a way of embedding the implementation and taking ownership in line with our core value, these initiatives, the 90 of them that we've heard, have been broken into the different directorates on a high level to be stewarded, first of all, by the leads of the you leading the process, because you also have to sign to show top to bottom commitment in line with the board's approval. And then each of the ECs would also sign to take ownership of the initiatives that they've been tasked to steward. So with your kind permission, sir, we will start that process with you. Yes, Oga.
So the change starts with the system.
Yes.
Okay, no, this is not the one for the system. No. Yes, this is the one for the CC. Okay, very good. So, ladies and gentlemen, the change starts. The change starts now, and yes, so it starts with me. Done. I do not put. Okay. Which are what? You want to present to me? Yes.
And is the social admin who will sign on behalf of?
Yes.
Okay.
Let them know that this one.
And we not for this occasion. We can wait till my office.
Yes?
Is that?
Stand back.
Yes.
And then myself. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much, CC sir. That shows commitment of the ECs and the CCE under your leadership to implement very, very religiously. Just to say that in this, the CCE has signed on behalf of his office, because the office of the CCE encompasses the office of the legal advisor and commission secretary, encompasses the NDR, encompasses all those other units that are embedded under your officer. So at a later date, the cascade sessions into the individual units will be had so that each of them, the leads, CSLA, Reverend Familoni, and the rest of them will understand what their own accountabilities are relative to your signature today, sir. Thank you so much. Tony.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kelechi. After the signing off, I'd like to call on very respectfully to the head and the leader of the Change Champions, no other person than Mr. Wole Ogunshola, to please give his commitment speech. Mr. Ogunshola, please.
Thank you very much. A very good afternoon. The Commission Chief Executive and Executive Commissioners here present, my directors, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. So it's my singular honor on behalf of what we call the College of Change Champions to congratulate the Commission Chief Executive and Executive Management team once again for this momentous occasion. It's very significant, the formal launch of the corporate and regulatory strategy in order to drive the key imperatives of government for the Commission. Congratulations, sir. So like you eloquently elucidated, including your rousing opening speech where you clearly articulated your commitment to this cause. This document and this handbook provides a clear pathway and direction, not only for the Commission, but also for the upstream petroleum sector at large. Therefore, as a creation of the PIA, the NUPRC is indeed at a vantage position to deliver on its mandate. So like the CC said, we all must unite efforts, leveraging on our skills, on our competencies to propel this great institution to greater performance. And with this clear roadmap, we have no doubt in our mind that we will achieve the results, such that someday the CC and executive management will look back after many years of living here and say they have built a legacy in setting up the firm foundation as the first executive management of the NUPRC, and they can smile in their old ages knowing they've laid the bedrock for a viral institution. So we congratulate you, and we know that legacy will be yours in years to come. So there are 37 nominated Change Champions all over the nation. I hope they are able to show their videos so that they can see the CCE and the CCE can see them. And we are privileged to be worthy ambassadors and champions of this change agenda under your distinguished leadership. We will disseminate and percolate the strategy and other change initiatives that will come therefrom throughout, down the hierarchy. Our very committed and resourceful staff. We're committed to do this. We know, like you rightly said, this is a dynamic document. It's work in progress, and we like that. We'll receive feedback, input from our team of resourceful staff from all over the nation in order to feed the optimization funnel as we work towards updating this, refining it in order to achieve the clear rules you have said. We know we have only one chief. You are the Commission Chief Executive, sir. I noted your comment here. Your change starts with you, and you've demonstrated it clearly. And So on behalf of the 37 change champions, they have asked me to ask you that you should kindly, which I know you've accepted, be our grand patron of change champions. And so we are, thank you so much. We are also appointing you, we are giving an appointment, respectfully, sir. You are the CCE, you're also the change champion in chief. That makes you a CCE as well. You know, thank you very much for your commitment, and we will not let you down. And throughout, we will show commitment in driving this through down the hierarchy, all to the benefit of the commission. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ogunshola. The only difference on this occasion is that we will not allow the CCE to make an acceptance speech. We have just taken note that he is now a double CCE. That is what we will take from that. And thank you very much, sir. We are change champions. We leave it. We'll encourage our team members and colleagues to imbibe the change, because without accepting it, we would not achieve much. So thank you so much, sir, for that comment. So the 8th item on the agenda, I would like to call on Dr. Kelechi to please give us closing remarks and take us through the ticket items on Agenda 8, while Ms. Rose Undong will get ready for the vote of thanks.
Okay. So before then, please, let me yield the floor respectfully, most respectfully, CC, sir, for your remarks.
Thank you very much. Okay, I think I have a double mic here now, so I can choose to use either. Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, once again, it's been awesome. And quite frankly, today is a very, very, very great day for all of us. And I want to congratulate us all for this achievement of this milestone that is that we have all, from the journey so far, that now we have a clear roadmap, a strategic plan for the organization. We are no longer running without line of sight on our destination in the next 10 years. The other point I want to make in this closing remark is to the effect that we have not just put together a strategy document. We have put together a strategy document from what I've seen here today that we are all genuinely committed to make, workable. The strategy document, I want to say, will just remain a document if we are not genuinely, sincerely committed to the implementation of this document. But from what I've seen, I can see, and I'm happy that I have your assurances that we have a strategy document that we have genuinely committed to, and that will work and will implement to the letter in building a solid organization. Like the lead, that is Dr. Ogunshola, like you alluded to, that we all look forward to when, in years to come by, that proudly we all have put in place a document, you understand, that will outlast all of us, at least in building a very organization. Then, the next thing I want to talk about before, this closing remark before rounding up, is that while all these activities were going on, I was just reflecting here as I sit here on leadership. There are different types of leaders. You have appointed leaders, elected leaders, and what have you. Each and every one of us, as we sit here, I want us to see ourselves as leaders, even the other members of the commission. And the best of leaders is leaders that are, just voluntary leaders, leaders that are committed to change, leaders that, recognize themselves as leaders and are committed to change. That's the kind of leaders I want each and every one of us to be. So in effect, that in one way or the other, we are all leaders, and that this strategy document has been committed to each and every one of us to see ourselves as leaders who are committed to making genuine change, and by effective implementation of this document. So leaders are people who are committed to what? To change. So we beckon on each and every one of us to be committed to genuine change in a manner that will benefit the industry and the nation we represent as a whole. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, CC, sir. Dr. Kelechi, please.
Thank you so much, dear CC. Thank you so much for those comments, for your commitment as well to making change happen, saying change begins with you, sir. And of course, each of us has undertaken by signing that we will support the implementation of this strategy to the letter and to the spirit as well, sir. I think it only remains to say thank you very much again, Oga, for your timely approvals, for your guidance, for your input in the entire process, right from the time that this was conceptualized, before it went to the board, before the retreat sessions, before the phases were embarked upon. You gave input, you guided, and today, everything that you see happen today is because of your timely approvals as well. You kept on top of this event, even though you were otherwise engaged. So thank you so much for that. Like I said in my remarks, this is just the beginning of the process. We will have syndicate sessions where we will, and cascade sessions where we will actually unpack the documents that will be distributed to all staff. I've just seen from my mail that the e-copy has also gone to all staff. So while it is the intent that every staff will have the handbook, every staff would also have the e-copy, which has just gone to everybody. So we will, as from next week, start to organize those syndicate sessions, sir. The PMO has worked tirelessly. That's the project management office led by Ogechi Ihikumere, standing there in red. So thank you so much. I know that I have the CC's permission to thank you and your team for working seamlessly with myself, with PwC, and of course, PwC led by Mary Iwelugo, Mary, Kola, Chuma, Joy, Amanda, and there's one person I'm leaving. Yes, lights on there. Thank you so much for being here. We will just reiterate that, of course, it is the board that owns the strategy, but at the end of the day, we're the arms and the hands and the minds and the legs of the board. So everything we do on a daily basis would help in achieving or destroying this vision. So please, as CC has enjoined, we'll all do our bit individually and collectively to make this document a living, workable success. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir, for those words of encouragement. At this time, I would like to call on Ms. Rosendong to please give us the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Tony. I don't know why or whether there's any room for additional vote of thanks, because at our very, very able CC, I want to, on behalf of the team, appreciate you for, the vision and your push and everything you've had to put in place to make sure that we got to this stage. It's no doubt that with what's gone on here, that we really have a very bright future coming ahead, us putting everything that we need to do for this to happen. So CC, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for forging and forcing this through in spite of everything else. We really appreciate and we say thank you. I want to also thank my colleagues, ECs, and the top management of the NUPRC for being committed, for working together to strategize and make sure that what's in place has to be in place, and to continue to forge through in spite of what has come to us. It's a change time, and it's never easy, but there's a lot of commitment, a lot of shoving and pushing, but at the end of the day, we always have cause to smile. And I want to say thank you very much for your commitment on a daily basis in our various offices. Thank you so much. And to also appreciate the PwC for always being there and going with us every stage of the way, through the able leadership of your own CCE. Mary, you know, you've been with us through all this. Some of us are learning some of these things. I mean, every day of your life is a learning process. And so there are things we've all picked up here. I know I have. And we take this to conclusion. And yes, when the time comes, when we are all gone off out of the NUPRC to our various homes, we have cause to say thank you to God and for the opportunities we've had to be able to put this in place and to serve. And I want to, with permission of the CCE, to also appreciate the board, as a member of the board, to say thank you to the board for, being there, making sure that approvals are granted and things happen so that we can have a very solid foundation for the NUPRC. So I could go on and on and on. Thank you for the PAU team. Thank you for the press, the photographer, and everyone else, really. So we don't beat the thank you so much. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being with us along the process. Thank you finally to the CC again for being who you are, in your own style of management, forging through and getting us to where we need to see, and it gets clearer as the days go. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate you. Appreciate all of you. Thank you.
My dear colleagues who have joined us virtually, we say thank you. Please be kind to one another and enjoy the rest of your day. So the next activity we have is a photo session. The CC will take with all the ECs holding up the strategic handbook. After that, we'll have all the top management who are here present holding the handbook. We'll take a picture also with the CCE. Then after that, the change champions here present will take a picture with the CCE. Then the organizing committee for the whole of this event will take a picture also with the CCE, and then we'll call this a close. Thank you very much. Thank you. No, just the ECs first. All the ECs. Okay. Yeah. All right, the next set will be the senior top management here present. Directors, please. Holding your handbooks. No, I didn't. I even said you. Okay, change champions.
Okay, am I done?
No, one more, sir. Change champions.
are the ambassadors. Congrats. Congrats. Yeah, some of us. Yeah, you are part of the ambassadors. Yes. Congrats. Same to us, okay. I want to see the faces of the ambassadors. All the ambassadors should be well. Thank you. How is it? You are going to capture the Abdul, are you part of the ambassadors? No, he is part of them. Will you come here so that I'll answer the video?